Hello. Hi. Good afternoon and welcome to English language class. Welcome, welcome. All right. We're moving straight into the class, and as you can see on the board, the topic before us today is word stress in polysyllabic words. All right. So we started on word stress in the last class. All right, and then we did a bit of an introduction to what word stress is. Okay, and then we did something like word stress in monosyllabic words, of course. So today we're going to be looking at word stress in polysyllabic words. But before we go into word stress in polysyllabic words, I did mention that we started on introduction to word stress yesterday. So we're going to do a quick review because that's going to link us to what we are doing in class today. All right. So we started looking at word stress yesterday, and then I did mention that word stress refers to the emphasis placed on one syllable in a word when pronouncing it. Okay, so when you want to talk about word stress, you're talking about stress in a word that has more than one syllable. Okay, so when you talk about syllable, you're talking about what you can produce in beats, not just in one beat, because you can say a word as one syllable. Words like cat, like one, like goat. You're producing words like that in just one beat. So there's no need for you to say you are placing stress on any syllable in such words. But when you're referring to word stress, it means you're referring to words with more than one syllable. Okay, with more than one syllable, and this is where you have two syllables, you have three syllables, four syllables, etc. Words like table, words like desire, words like empire, words like teacher. So you know that okay, there are syllables in this word, and one of the syllables has to have the emphasis. Okay, so once there's an emphasis placed on a particular syllable in a word, you say that there is stress on that syllable. And I did mention that what we consider to say that a syllable is stressed is when the syllable amongst the other syllables is pronounced louder, okay, is pronounced longer, and is pronounced with a higher pitch. It's pronounced louder, it's pronounced longer, and pronounced with a higher pitch. All right, so we looked at the example of table, and then the way table sounds, you know that one is stressed, one syllable is stressed, and there is emphasis on it than the other. Okay, so we started looking at key points about word stress, and I did mention that every word with two or more syllables definitely has one stress syllable. Then number two is that stress patterns are not always predictable. Okay, even if you have rules, okay, the rules are not so strict. So that means that there are exceptions to the rules. The rules can help you in certain areas, but not in all areas. Then number three is that when you misplace stress on a particular syllable, it can change the meaning of the word. And then we looked at examples like record and record. Okay, record and record. They are the same word, okay, until syllable or until stress is placed on a particular syllable. If stress is placed on the first syllable, you say it is a noun. If it is placed on the second syllable, you say it is a verb. All right. So when you say record, record, import, contract, present, you know that words like these, once you misplace the stress, you know that definitely it's changing the meaning of the word. And then we started looking at the rules for word stress in English language, which we're going to be looking at fully today. Okay, we just did a bit of an introduction, so I'm not really going to go over it again because we are going to do that fully in class today. Then we were able to look at the past question, and then we called it a day. the last class. So today we continue on where we stopped. That's talking about the rules, about rules of word stress, rules of word stress. Okay, so today we are looking at word stress in polysyllabic words. Word stress in polysyllabic words. So I'm going to start by saying polysyllabic words, just like I mentioned yesterday. I was mentioning monosyllabic words as words with just one syllable. But when you talk about polysyllabic words, it means that these words, this set of words, have two syllables or more than two syllables. Okay, so the word polysyllabic means many syllables, many syllables. Okay, so when you talk about polysyllabic, you're talking about two or more syllables in polysyllabic words. Okay, so two or more syllables. And of course, we looked at some examples yesterday. We talked about table. Okay, table is a polysyllabic word because it doesn't have one syllable. Table has two syllables. So if you are breaking it down, you say table. Okay, so to know which one you are placing stress on, you can either put that apostrophe that I mentioned before the stress syllable, or you can capitalize the syllable that is stressed. Okay, so you can either do something like this. Okay, so that we know that te, the syllable te is the one stressed, or you can do like this, which is what is common in examination. So you already know that this is the stressed syllable. So when you talk about polysyllabic words, it means you're talking about words with more than one syllable, or words with two or more syllables. So that's what we mean by polysyllabic words. So examples of polysyllabic words, just like I gave an example, you have table, you have music, you have window. These are two syllable words. Cotton, two syllable words. Table, music, window, cotton, two syllable words. Then we can add for three syllable words. Three syllable words like beautiful, like fantasy, like accident, like potato. Okay, and you can have four syllable words like information, explanatory, education, celebrity. Okay, you can have five or more syllable words like university, individuality, unconstitutional. Okay, so let's say one syllable word. We can have words like table, two syllable words rather, words like table. Okay, so you know you are breaking this down. Table. All right, then we can have two syllables, three syllables rather, three syllables like potato, potato. Okay, potato. All right, you can have four syllable words, like say information, information. Okay, so we have information. Then we can have five or more than five syllable words like university. Okay, I hope you understand what we mean by the syllables. For instance, the two syllable words, you can break it down. Table. Okay, so you know that this is two. Potato, you know that this is three, because it means you're pronouncing in three beats. For two syllables, you pronounce in two beats. Table. Three syllables, you pronounce in three beats. Potato. All right. Then four syllable words, you pronounce in four beats. You have words like information. All right. you're pronouncing this in 4 beats, and then maybe 5 syllable words you're pronouncing in 5 beats. Okay, so you can have words like you, me, ver, si, t. All right, so you pronounce this in 5 beats. This is what we mean by polysyllabic words. Two words with 2 syllables or more than 2 syllables. So you can see that table, for instance, has 2 syllables. Then the other examples that I gave, potato information, university, they have more than 2 syllables. So words like these are called polysyllabic words. All right. So we start by looking at the rules for word stress in polysyllabic words. Rules for word stress in polysyllabic words. Again, I'm going to mention it that these rules are here to guide you, but then there are exceptions to these rules. Okay, there are exceptions to these rules. So your sure bet in determining what stress is to let your mind and your ears work correctly. Okay, once you are able to pronounce a word correctly, yeah, and then you can decide by tuning your ears and your mind to know which of the syllables is longer, is louder, and pronounced in slightly higher pitch, then you know which one is the stressed syllable. So these rules are just there to guide you because, of course, you know that examinations are time bound and you don't have time to just be umming words whereas time is going. So these rules are just there to help you. So once you see words like this, you apply rules to them so that you can pick your answers very quickly. So the ones that get you confused are the ones that you should now apply your mind to. Okay, so these rules are just here to guide you, but the rules do not always apply to every word. There are exceptions. That's how English language is built. That's how English language is. Okay, so there are always exceptions to the rules, but then the rules we at least cover for about 90% of the words. So you see some words, once you know the rule, you already know your answer. That's why I'm giving out those rules to you. All right, so we start by looking at the rules one after the other. All right, so the first rule I'm going to give, of course, I already mentioned this in the last class. Okay, I mentioned this in the last class. Words ending in TION and SION. Words ending in TION and SION. Okay, so the stress is usually on the syllable before TION, TION or SION. Please always note this. Once you see a word that ends with TION or SION, whether the word has 2 syllables, whether it has 3 syllables, whether it has 4 syllables, 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 10 syllables, once it ends with TION or SION, just know that the stressed syllable is the syllable before the TION or the SION, regardless of the the the, the number of syllables. Again, I'm going to mention it that there are exceptions. You can find words, maybe, I'm not sure I can find any word like that at the moment, but then there could be exceptions to them. But usually, this rule applies to words ending with TION and SION. Once you see a word, whatever the word means, whatever syllable it has, okay, once it ends with TION or SION, just know that the stressed syllable is the syllable before the TION or the SION. All right, and then you can have words like education, okay, words like education, information, okay, information, discussion, okay, discussion, permission, permission, okay, permission, okay. So Tion. All of these words end with tion. So just know that the syllable before the tion is the one carrying the stress. Please, if you are with me, kindly drop a thumbs up so I know that you can hear me clearly and you understand what I'm saying. All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, so we have tion. The syllable before tion in the word education is K, CA. So you have education. Okay, education. So the K is produced or pronounced louder, is pronounced longer, and pronounced with a high pitch. Pronounced with a high pitch. Okay, that's education. Now we have information. Information also ends with tion, and then the syllable before tion in the word information is may. So we have may as the stress syllable. Information, mation. All right. Now we have the word discussion. Discussion ends with sion. Sion. Okay, or ssion. All right. So because we have words, this word ending with sion, the syllable before the sion carries the stress. So you say discussion. So it means core is the stress syllable. Okay, our cu, all right, is the stressed syllable. Then we have the word permission, also ending with sion. Okay, sion, and the syllable before sion in the word permission is me. Okay, so we have our me as the stressed syllable. So words ending in tion or sion, regardless of the number of syllable that they have, the syllable before the tion or the sion has to carry the stress. All right, that's rule number one. Okay, then we have rule number two. Words ending in ic or ical. Words ending in ic or ical. That's for number two. I'm trying to add that on the board. We'll see that shortly. Okay, ic or ical. All right, so words ending in ic or ical. When you have words that end with this, it means the stress is also usually on the syllable before the ic or ical, just like tion and sion. So wherever you find a word that ends with ic or ical, the stress before the syllable before the ic or the ical also carries the stress. All right, so we can have examples like dramatic. Okay, words like dramatic. Okay, words like electric. Electric. Words like geographical. Okay, all right. So when you have words ending with dramatic, electric, we can see that this ic, dramatic ends with ic, electric ends with ic. Okay, so the stress or the stress syllable in dramatic is the syllable before ic, which is mat. Okay, which is mat. So dramatic, dramatic. All right, the stress syllable in the word electric is the syllable before the ic. Okay, the syllable, the syllable before the ic. Okay, so we have electric is how many syllable words? We have electric. That means we have three syllable words. Okay, so the first syllable is e, the second one is le, and the third one is trick. All right, so we have leg, all right, as the stressed syllable. So the syllable before the IC or the ICAL, okay, is the stressed syllable. That's rule number 2. Then we look at rule number 3, and that's word ending in ITY or ETY. ITY or ETY. Okay, so I'm having that on the board as well. ITY or ETY. Rule number 3. Words ending in ITY or ETY. Okay, so this rule says the stress is usually also on the syllable before ITY or ETY. Just note that these rules that I'm mentioning, this first set of rules, the syllables or the stress syllables are usually second to the last. The stress syllable are usually second to the last. Okay, so if the word ends with TION, or it ends with SION, or it ends with IC, or it ends with ICAL, or it ends with ITY, or it ends with ETY, just know that the syllable before these suffixes are the stress syllable. So words ending in ITY and ETY usually have the stressed syllable, or usually have the stress before. They have the stress on the syllable before the suffix. Okay, so let's try to get examples. So we have words like activity, okay, activity, variety, okay. We have words like activity, variety, okay. Let's take one more example. Probability, okay. Probability, okay. Now we have, let's see if we can get an example for ETY, okay. That's a variety. We have variety, okay. So we have activity ending with ITY, variety ending with ETY. You can have examples like society. All right, we have probability ending with ITY too. Okay, ending with ITY. Okay, so just know that the stress, or the stress is on the syllable before the last syllable. Okay, so for activity, how many syllables do we have? We have activity. That means we have 4 syllables. All right, we have 4 syllables. So that means that our syllable for activity is on tiv. Okay, activity. All right, the same for variety. Okay, it's on, the stress is on right. Okay, variety. And then for probability, the stress is on bill. Okay, so that's for words ending in ITY and ETY. Stress on syllable before the ITY or the ETY. All right, so we move to rule number 4, and these are words ending in AL. When you have a word that ends in AL, okay, so let's try to get that on the board as well. AL, words ending in AL. Rule number 4, words ending in AL. Okay, so again, the stress is usually on the syllable before AL. Stress is usually on the syllable before AL. Okay, and then um you can have words like industrial. Okay, industrial, industrial. Okay, industrial. Now Industrial has how many syllables? Industrial. It means it has three syllables. And then the last syllable is trial, ending with AL. All right. So it means that the second syllable or the second to the last syllable carries the stress. Okay. So industrial, that means that DOS is carrying the stress. DOS is carrying the stress. Okay. Then we move to rule number 5. Wiping off the board now. Rule number 5, where we talk about two-syllable nouns and adjectives. Two-syllable nouns and adjectives. Okay, trying to have that on the board. Two-syllable nouns and adjectives. Okay, so when you have a word that is two-syllable, all right, it's a two-syllable word, and the word is either a noun or an adjective. It means the first syllable of the word is usually stressed. The first syllable of the word is usually stressed. Okay? And we have words like table. We looked at this yesterday. Table. Let's look at table. Let's look at window. Okay? Let's look at happy. Okay, so these words have two syllables: table, window, happy. All right, table is a noun, window is a noun, happy is an adjective. All right, they are all two syllable words, so it means the stress is on the first syllable. First syllable, so it means that the syllable on table is on ta. The syllable on window or the stress on window is on win. The stress on happy is on ha. All right. So it has the stress on the first syllable. Once the word is a two-syllable word and it's a noun or an adjective, the stress is on the first syllable. All right. Then we look at rule number 6. Rule number 6, and this talks about two-syllable verbs and prepositions. Okay. Prepositions. Verbs or prepositions. Two-syllable verbs or prepositions. Trying to have that on the board. All right. Verbs and prepositions. Okay. So when you have two-syllable verbs and prepositions, it means the second syllable is usually stressed. Second syllable is usually stressed. Unlike rule number 5, you talk about nouns and adjectives, two-syllable words, the first syllable is stressed. Whereas in rule number 6, two-syllable words of verbs and prepositions, the second syllable is usually stressed. Second syllable is usually stressed. So we have examples like relax, relax. We have examples like decide. Okay, decide. All right. We have examples like forget. Okay, so these words are two-syllable words. All right, and as you can see, they are verbs here. So it means that the stress is on the second syllable. So in relax, we have lax as the stress syllable. In decide, we have side as the stress syllable. And in forget, we have get as the stressed syllable. All right. So we have rule number 7, words with prefixes. Words with prefixes. Okay. Words with prefixes. Trying to have that on the board. Words with prefixes. Okay, so for words with prefixes, um, usually like an unstressed prefix. Okay, so we have prefixes like un, prefixes like in, prefixes like dis, prefixes like re, prefixes like pre. Okay, so these prefixes are usually not stressed. So when you have words with um, prefixes like this, just know that the stressed syllable you are looking for is not on the prefix. It's not on the prefix. Just know that the stressed syllable you are looking for is word that is not on the prefix. Okay, so you have words like unhappy. Okay, words like dislike, words like reject. Okay, so prefixes like these already know that they are not stressed. So you look for the stress in the main word, not on the prefix. So for unhappy, just know that ha is the stress syllable in unhappy. Okay, and then for this dislike is just two syllables, and if it is not the prefix, then it has to be the main word. So dislike, and then for reject. Okay, so ject as the it has the stressed syllable. Okay, it has the stress. The syllable jet has the stress. The reject is just two syllables, and re is a prefix. So if re is not stressed, then it means that the other syllable is the stressed one. All right, then we have rule number 8, and then we're looking at words ending in ment. Okay, so when a word ends with ment, it means the primary stress will always stay on the original root word. Okay, this is like a suffix. Let me wipe up the board so that we can have a clear view of what I'm saying. Okay, so we are looking at words ending with ment, and we know that ment is a suffix. Okay, so prefix just like I mentioned for prefix, the prefix has nothing to do with stress. You're focusing on the main word. It's the same with the words like this. So when you have words ending with ment, just know that the stress will remain on the root word. Okay, you are not meant is not going to be stressed. The suffix meant will not be stressed. The stress is on the root word. So if the root word has two or more syllables, then it's left for you to apply other roots to that root word for you to be able to get which one is stressed. I'm going to give some examples. All right, we have examples like agreement. Okay, agreement, employment, employment, enjoyment. Okay, maybe we can have one more example. Engagement, engagement. All right, so we have agreement, we have employment, we have enjoyment, and we have engagement. Now, all of these words end with meant. So it means if you remove meant from agreement, the word you have left is agree. When you have when you remove meant from employment, the word you have left is employ. When you remove meant from enjoyment, the word you have left is enjoy. When you remove meant from engagement, the word you have left is engage. Now, you know that the next thing is to look for the stress syllable in this word. So agree has two syllables. So it means one of the two syllables has the stress. Employ, enjoy, and engage also have two syllables each. All right, they do have two syllables. So it means the stress is on either of the syllables of this word. So the next thing is for you to apply the other rules on these words. Okay, so the rule, so if the root word now has more than one syllable, like I was saying, the stress will stay in the same place for the root word. So what we look at now is, for instance, if the word, okay, if the word is agree, if the word is agree, we are not looking at agreement. Meant is out of it. The word is agree. So which one is the stressed one? Okay, so you're left with two syllables, and then for you to decide which one is stressed. Okay, so other sounds, when we were doing vowel sounds, we talked about schwa sound, and I did mention that schwa sound is a very weak sound. So of course, the a the r sound here is weak. Okay, the r sound here is weak. So just know that your stress is on agree. So agreement. Okay, for employment you have employment. Okay, so employ is like a verb. Okay, employ is a verb, and remember the rules about the verb with two syllables. The stress is where? The stress is on the second syllable. That's verb. Remember that we have removed the word or the suffix meant. We are now looking at the two syllables left. So the two syllables that we have is employ, which is the verb. And if you remember the rule that I just mentioned about verbs with two syllable words, the stress is on the second syllable. So do you see how this works now? Even though enjoyment is three syllable words, but you know that the stress is not on meant. Stress is not on meant. Stress is usually on the root word. Now, the root word has two syllables, and that two syllables, all right, the two syllable word is a verb. So, since it's a verb and it's a two syllable word, it means the stress is on the second syllable. So, we have employment. Enjoy is also a verb, all right? So, and it's a two syllable word too. So you have enjoyment. It means the stress is on joy. Okay. The same for engagement. Two syllable word, engage, which can also be a verb, engage. All right. So the stress is on gauge. Stress is on gauge. Other examples we can have are words like manage. Okay. Management, argue, argument, encourage, encouragement. Okay, requirement. Just know that once you have words with meant, words ending with meant, the first thing you should do is to remove the meant. Remove the meant, because the meant cannot be stressed. So look at the root word. If the root word has two syllable words, or if the root word is a two syllable word and it's a noun, just know that the first syllable has the stress. If the two syllable word is a verb, just know that the second syllable has the stress. All right. So we move to the next rule, and that's compound words. Compound words. Rule number 9, compound words. I'm trying to have that on the board. Compound words. All right, so for compound words, the first part is usually stressed. the first part is usually stressed. Okay, and when we're talking about compound words, we're talking about compound words that is a noun. If the compound word is a noun, then the first part of the compound word is usually stressed. When you're talking about compound words, you're talking about basically two words that are joined together to form one word. Two words that are joined together to form one word. You have words like football, okay, words like breakfast, okay, words like sunglasses, okay. So if you look at football, breakfast, foot is a word, ball is a word, break is a word, fast is a word. Now, foot and ball coming together to form one word is football. Break and fast coming together to form one word is breakfast. Okay, so we have football as a compound word, which is a noun because a football is a noun. Breakfast is a noun, that's a name for something. Okay, so since they are nouns and they are compound words, just know that the stress is on the first part of the word. And the first part for football is foot. The first part for breakfast is break. So do you get it? So compound words, two words, okay? Compound words that are noun. The first part usually has the stress. So that's for compound words. Okay, then we look at the tense rule, and then we're looking at stress in words ending in EER or ESE. EER or ESE. Okay, trying to add that on the board. EER or ESE. Rule number 10. Okay, so words ending in EER or ESE are usually stressed on the last syllable. Okay, usually stressed on the last syllable. So this one gives it away because you don't need to stress yourself. You don't need to be looking for which one. Just know that the last syllable is the stressed word, is the stressed syllable. The last syllable in words that ends with EER or ESE, the last syllable is the stressed syllable. So we are looking at examples like engineer. Okay, so engineer. Okay, volunteer. Volunteer. Okay, um, Japanese. Okay, Japanese. Okay, so let's make do with these examples. We have engineer, that means it has three syllable words, and the last syllable is near, which means that near is the stressed syllable. We have volunteer, all right? Three syllables or so, that means that tear is the last syllable and it has the stress on it. And we have Japanese, okay? Japanese, three syllables or so, and knees is the last syllable. So, which means that knees has the stress on it. So, words that ends with EER or ESE, just know that the last syllable has the stress. You don't need to bother yourself too much on words like this. All right. Then we look at words that end with graphy, ology, and meter. Okay. I'm trying to have that on the board. Let's try to wipe the board off so that we can have a clean sheet. Okay. So we are looking at words ending in graphy. We're basically talking about suffix. When we mention things like this, just know that there are suffixes for some particular words. So graphy, ology, meter. Okay, this is what I mean. Graphy. So words that ends with graphy, that ends with ology, that ends with meter. Just know that these words are usually stressed on the third syllable from the end. The third syllable from the end. Okay, when you say from the end, it means you start counting from the end. So if a word has three syllables, one, two, three syllables, you are starting your count from the end. So that means that number one, number two, number three, it means the stress will be on the first syllable. If the word has five syllables, one, two, three, four, five, you start counting from the end. One, two, three. It means the stress is on the third syllable. So words that end with graphy, that ends with ology, that ends with meter, you know that the stress is on the third syllable from the end. So you start counting from the end. You start counting from the end. And then we look at words like photography. Okay? Photography. Words like biology. 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 Now, let's look at these words. Okay, let's look at these words. You talk about photography, and because the word ends with graphy, biology ends with ology. Okay, and you already know that the stress is on the third syllable from the end. What you have to do is to break down these words. How many syllables are they? Photography. Photography. So that means we have four syllables in photography, right? We have four syllables in photography. So you start counting from the end. Phi is the last syllable, right? Phi is the last syllable. Ra is the second to the last syllable. Then we have to as the third to the last syllable. Photography. All right? Photography. So we have Phi, we have um P, we have Ra, and then we have To. So it means that the syllable in the stress syllable is on To. Okay. Then for biology, we have biology. Four syllables too. Biology. Okay. Biology. Four syllables. So you start counting. G is the last syllable. The one next to it is lower. Okay. And then we have O. So biology. So we have O as the stress syllable in biology. We have O as the stress syllable in biology. So this trick is just to count from the end. If the word ends with graphy, with ology, and with meter, just count from the end. Count from the end. Okay? Count from the end. Okay? So that's basically what we have. So you count from the end, and the third syllable is the stressed one. The third syllable is the stressed one. So that's for the rules that we have that could guide you for word stress. Again, I'm going to mention it that there are exceptions to these rules. You can see a word and then you eventually discover that the stress is not on a particular syllable according to a rule. That means that word is exempted from the rules. Okay, but the rules should cover for about 90% of the words, which means that you are still safe for your examination. All right, so we'll call it, we come to the end of the class for today. We do a quick review and then we take a past question, then we call it a day. So we started looking at word stress in polysyllabic words, and I mentioned that polysyllabic words um, are words that have two or more syllables. Okay, words with two or more syllables, and we looked examples of 2-syllable words, examples of 3-syllable words, examples of 4-syllable words, or 5 or more syllable words. All right. Then we started looking at rules for word stress in polysyllabic words. The first rule we looked at is words ending in tion and sion. And I said that the stress is usually on the syllable before that suffix. Usually on the syllable before that suffix. The rule number 2 is words ending with ice or ical. And also the stress is usually on the syllable before the suffix. Okay. Then the third rule is words ending with ity or ety. And again, the stress is usually on the syllable before this suffix. Okay. Then rule number four are words ending with al, and the stress is usually on the stress on the syllable before the al, before the al. Then we looked at rule number 5 that talks about two-syllable words that are nouns or adjectives. And just know that the first syllable is usually stressed. The first syllable is usually stressed. Then rule number 6, two-syllable words that is either a verb or preposition, the stress is usually on the second syllable, Then we looked at words with prefixes like un, like in, like dis, like re, like pre. We mentioned that these prefixes are not stressed. So your stress or the stress syllable will be in the root word, not in the prefix. Then we looked at words ending in ment, the suffix ment. And again, ment is a suffix and is not usually stressed. So your stressed syllable is going to be in the root word. Then rule number nine talks about compound words that are nouns. Okay, if this word is a compound word and is a noun, then the first part of that compound word is the stressed syllable. The first part of that compound word, which is a noun, is the stressed part. Then we looked at rule number 10 and talked about words ending in EER and EER and ESE. And then it is said that the stress is usually on the last syllable, Then we looked at words ending with the suffix graphy, ology, and meter. Words that ends with graphy, ology, and meter. Just know that the stress is on the third syllable from the end. So you start counting from the end, 1, 2, 3. The third syllable from the end is usually the stress syllable. So we have looked at 11 rules for word stress today. 11 rules for word stress today. Okay, so let's take a past question from 2016. From 2016. Okay, so from 2016, we have a word stress question. Okay, all right, so the question says, for these questions, choose the most appropriate stress pattern from the options. Okay, the stress syllables are written in capital letters. And like I did mention at the beginning of the class, that when you see something written, when you see a syllable written as big as capital letters, that means they're implying that that's the stress syllable. So you have to choose which one. If the stress is on the first syllable for you, that means your option is option C, because DIS is written in capital letters. If it is on maybe the second syllable, okay, that means your option is option A, because A is written in capital letter. So that's how it works for word stress. In case you are wondering that why are they writing some in capital letter and why are they writing some in small letter, it means they already broke down the syllables for you, so you don't need to start calculating that how many syllables does this one have or not. So all you have to do is just to locate which of the syllables is the stressed one. All right. So the word we have here is disagreement. Disagreement. Now, there are different rules you can apply to this rule, to this question, for you to get the option. Now, this word has it has a prefix and it has a suffix. It has a prefix and it has a suffix. Okay. Now, remember that two of our rules state that the prefix cannot have the stress, cannot be the stressed syllable. And then the suffix meant can also not be the stressed syllable. That's two rules applying to this question. Okay, so the prefix these cannot be the stressed syllable, then the suffix meant can also not be the stressed syllable. So we are focusing on the root word, which is agree. The root word here is agree. The root word in disagreement is agree. This is a prefix, meant is a suffix. So we have agree as the root word. Now in agree, how do we choose the stressed syllable? Because agree has two syllables. So it means one of the syllables in the root word has the stress. So which one has the stress? So we have agree, agree. Now, agree is a verb. Another rule talks about the verb. Agree is a verb, and agree is a two-syllable word. Okay, agree is a two-syllable word. So remember that rule that states that if the word is a two-syllable word and is a verb, then the stress is on the second syllable. Okay, is on the second syllable. So agree is the root word. Already we eliminated this because this cannot be the stressed syllable. We eliminated meant because meant cannot be the stressed syllable. So we have agree, and agree is a two-syllable word. So two-syllable word that is a verb, and verbs that are two-syllable words always have. Thank you. I like this answer. Thank you, Blessing. Yes, so agree is the stressed one. Agree is the stressed in agree because the verb agree has two syllables and the second part is the stressed one. So what you are looking for now is option A. Option A has stress on R, which is wrong. Option B has the stress on agree, which is right. Option C has the stress on these, which is wrong. And option D has no stress at all. So that means that the option that we have as the correct option is option B. So this is how word stress is. You just apply the rules. Sometimes you need to apply like 6 rules to get your answers. Sometimes you just look at the word, and once you see word, if you remember what the rule that talks about words ending with EER. Once you see words ending with EER, you already know that the last syllable is the stress. Sometimes you don't need to apply more than one rule. Sometimes you need about 6 rules to get your answers. But just know that you just be assured that you know these rules by heart, you apply them, and then in few seconds you are able to get your answer. So for this, option B is the correct one. All right, so we have come to the end of the class today. The question is from 2016, and like I've been saying, we have a CPT session on the A1 Tutor app. Please and please make sure you attend to these questions. Go to questions for different years, questions on word stress, and apply these rules to them. See the ones you can answer. If you've missed any part of the class today, kindly go over to our YouTube channel at A1 Tutor and see the part that you have missed. If you have any questions, kindly drop the questions. We will definitely attend to them. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Do like the video, make comments, and share the video. Thank you. I'll see you in the next class. Bye bye.